Hello, Ryan. Happy almost birthday. Okay, my thoughts on the election. Well, firstly, in Japan, the people are relatively not too politically engaged, but in Korea, people are quite engaged and have had quite the history of corrupt leadership since the war. I was even able to attend a protest against their former president, Park Geun-hye. That being said, I and most of my colleagues are very closely following the current US election, as most of the 50 of us are American and the vast majority are flaming progressives. Thanks for sharing your sober thoughts on the election. I think you put it well that a big disconnect is that many Democrats want an equal starting line for minorities and certain underprivileged groups and everyone. And they want the government to help make that happen. While many Republicans interpret that as a sign of taking their hard earned tax dollars to give as handouts to lazy people, and they feel that their own struggles and having to work through their own difficult times aren't fully acknowledged. At the end of the day, that's what we all want. We want to be seen, fully acknowledged, loved, and appreciated. And when some ostensibly get that special treatment and others don't, that will certainly create a strong emotional response. Some initial insights on one of my existential outlooks. I have a bit of a paradoxical view that life is incredibly, unfathomably important. You only get one life, so don't take it for granted. Every day, every moment is special, so carpe the diem. Yet at the same time, because you only get one life, don't waste it worrying about everything, especially things that you can't control. What a waste it would be to try to micromanage your life and let external events impact your well being, so it's best to just let it go and go with the flow. So, in sum, treat each day like it's your last, so count your blessings and make the most of it, and at the same time, treat each day like it's your last, so relax and don't sweat the small things that are uncontrollable. So I have a similar outlook on the Don potentially being elected. I cannot choose who is the president all by myself. I can only cast my vote and hope for the best. Regardless of who is president, my day-to-day actions and level of happiness are not much impacted beyond a few days of being euphemistically let down and upset. I really respect your attitude of realizing that yes, the sun will still rise and life goes on no matter what the result of the election may be. However, for me, whether it's appropriate or not, this feels a hell of a lot more significant than a sports match or even another presidential election. As much as one should eventually move forward and focus on determining one's own quality of life, for me, the dawn is different. In my opinion, I typically sympathize well with all kinds of people, understand where they're coming from, and am tolerant of most lifestyles. To each his own. Although I am very progressive, I can rationalize many of the stances on issues. Maybe a person has certain religious principles or cares about the economy or is pro-life or law and order or meritocracy, pro-military, Second Amendment, fewer taxes, anti-LGBTQ. Now, I strongly disagree with most conservative positions, but I can rationalize them to an extent. I can rationalize supporting George Bush or Mitt Romney or John McCain. I can even rationalize some people voting for the Don in 2016 before he had a chance. But I simply cannot see myself befriending a 2020 Don supporter. I think you were in a more stable state of mind pre-election than I was. I've had several nights of poor sleep thinking about the Don for 4 more years. The thing that I just cannot be on board with is the absolute lack of empathy. He has never admitted being wrong or shown a shred of humility or humanity. He has never shown that he cared about another human unless they already complimented him, even if they are horrible dictators. My professional life would be significantly affected. I hope to teach in the US in the near future, and Don just destroys relationships with other countries. International students do not and will not want to go to the US, and legally, it will be much more difficult for them to come even if they want to. My odds of working in the States for at least another 4 years would go from around 50% to 5% because of the many ways Don erodes relationships with non-Americans. I want a career in international cooperation and embracing multicultural differences, and Don is the antithesis to that. And speaking of poor treatment of non-US citizens, getting a green card or finding a way for my Korean wife to live in the States with me would be much more difficult legally. But again, the biggest reason for me not being able to emotionally cope with the Don is thinking of all the real people who are hurt because of him. His invisible response to the hurricane in Puerto Rico, 3,000 people dead, $100 billion of damage, his history of sexual assault and promoting gender discrimination, separating children from their families, politicizing a deadly virus and stoking fear and hatred and ignorance with blatant lies. And to have that awful of a human in the most powerful position in the world, I'm just not good with that. I'm glad you have some perspective, having many conservatives in your community, and Mom, who worked with many Don supporters for most of her career, and Dad, who always makes an effort to see the other side of the issues and isn't an extreme liberal. I'm simply not as politically compromising at this point. But one silver lining that has come out of this process is that I feel motivated to act instead of seeing a lot of negativity and discrimination and inequality and just throwing a pity party or saying, I'm only one person. What can I do? I felt this switch in me where I can take negative and make it into positive fuel, or take the positive and use it as inspiration. Whatever is happening externally, I'm doing what I can to spin it as the half glass full, or filling a void, or raising awareness, or combating evil, or supporting a worthwhile cause. If I'm not positively participating with my precious few days and hours, then really, what am I doing? I don't want to be an armchair whiner. I want to be a doer. And Don or Joe, in different ways, can help motivate me. So I think you and I can both agree that people are largely in charge of their own thoughts, actions, and quality of life. And it's probably best to simply win the day, as the Ducks do. All right, my question for you: what are some of your most memorable birthday memories? All right, happy birthday. Talk to you soon.